Wow, when you hear those numbers, it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Which numbers are those?
The World Health Organization ones, they estimate something like 5 billion people worldwide could have myopia by 2050.
5 billion. Yeah, that's staggering.
Exactly. And it just hammers home how important it is, for us to really get a grip on effective ways to manage it for ourselves, for our kids.
Absolutely. Which is why today we're doing a deep dive into a lecture that caught my eye. It was by Dr. Gilbert Nacouzi on orthokeratology.
Ah, Ortho-K.
Right. He presented it at the Université Sainte Famille during their Journée Scientifique 2025, which was all about myopia management.
Okay, orthokeratology. So for anyone listening who hasn't come across it, Ortho-K, in simple terms, is about wearing these special contact lenses, but only overnight.
Yeah, while you sleep.
Right. And while you're sleeping, they gently kind of reshape the front of your eye, the cornea. The idea is that during the day, you can see clearly without needing your glasses or daytime contacts.
It's a pretty neat concept when you think about it. And Dr. Nacouzi, well, he's got the credentials BSc, MBA, DBA, EIC, and he runs the myopia management hub at Optic Nacouzi, so he really knows his stuff.
Definitely brings the expertise.
Yeah.
So our mission today, then, is to unpack what he shared.
Exactly. Let's dig into his insights on Ortho-K, how far it's come, not just for vision correction, but really it's a strategy for managing myopia progression. We're looking for the key takeaways, maybe some surprising bits too.
Sounds good. So this whole idea of reshaping the cornea, it feels very modern, but I guess people have wanted to ditch glasses for ages. Did Dr. Nacouzi touch on the history? Any weird early ideas?
Oh, yeah. He did mention some interesting historical tidbits. Apparently there's a reference somewhere to using Chinese tea bags.
Tea bags? Really? How would that even work, like a compress?
Uh-huh. Who knows? Maybe it was just soothing. But it shows people were trying things, More concretely, though, he mentioned a Dr. J. Bell back in 1850.
1850. What did he do?
He invented this eye cup with a spring-mounted plunger.
A plunger on the eye. Ouch.
Yeah, sounds pretty direct, doesn't it? Shows the early thinking, I guess. Just physically pressing on the eye.
Okay, thankfully things moved on. Dr. Nacouzi pointed out PMMA coming in after World War II. That's the plastic, right?
Polymethyl methacrylase, yeah. A huge step up from glass lenses, which is what they used before.
Glass. Wow. And then the 1970s brought topography, mapping the cornea.
Exactly. Being able to create those detailed surface maps of the cornea was, well, a game changer. You need that data to really understand what you're trying to reshape.
That must have paved the way for better lens designs.
It really did. Led directly to reverse geometry lenses in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Those are key for ortho because the back surface has that special curve.
Right, the reverse curve.
And then in the 90s, Stuart Grant kind of formalized the idea of night therapy and retention, wearing them overnight specifically to keep clear vision the next day.
Got it. So the pieces were falling into place. Dr. Nacouzi also mentioned more interest in overnight wear in the 90s, alongside better materials, higher decay.
Yeah, decay is oxygen permeability. How much oxygen gets through the lens, super important for overnight wear.
Makes sense. Your cornea needs to breathe, especially when your eyes are closed all night.
Precisely. Better oxygen flow meant it was much safer, less risk of complications, and that development was crucial for getting FDA approval.
Ah, the regulatory step. When was that?
2002. The FDA gave pre-market approval in the U.S. for overnight Ortho-K. Dr. Nacouzi noted that this really spurred interest, especially as myopia management itself became a bigger focus around then.
Okay, so that brings us closer to the modern era. Let's get into the science then. How exactly does sleeping with these lenses on reshape the eye? Dr. Nacouzi mentioned different curves on the lens.
He did. An Ortho-K lens isn't just a simple curve. It's got several zones, all precisely engineered. There's the base curve right in the center. That's the part doing the main flattening work on the cornea for the nearsightedness.
Okay, the central flattening part.
Then just outside that, you have the reverse curve. It's steeper, and it creates like a little space, a reservoir for the corneal tissue that's being shifted.
Shifted. Okay, we'll come back to that. What else?
There's the alignment curve, which helps the lens sit properly centered and stable on the eye. And then the peripheral zone just blends the edge smoothly for comfort and, importantly, tear exchange.
So it's quite complex, and you mentioned tissue being shifted. Dr. Nacouzi called it epithelial redistribution. Can you break that down?
Yeah, so the cornea has this really thin outer layer of cells, the epithelium. The Ortho-K lens applies very gentle, calculated pressure overnight.
Okay.
And this pressure causes some of those epithelial cells in the very center to, well, migrate slightly outwards towards the mid-periphery.
So the cells themselves move.
They redistribute, yeah. It's not thinning the cornea overall, just subtly shift.
Ah, I see. It's a temporary reshaping of that very top layer, which explains why you have to keep wearing them.
Exactly. Stop wearing them, and the epithelium gradually returns to its original shape.
Right. Now, the big question for a lot of people, especially parents, how well does Ortho-K actually work to slow down myopia getting worse? Dr. Nacouzi put this in the context of standard care, right?
He did. He emphasized that Ortho-K fits squarely into the management pillar of the World Council of Optometry's standard of care for myopia. So it's recognized globally as a valid strategy.
That's good to know. Official recognition.
And also, the World Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus WSPOS, in their 2023 consensus statement, they also point to Ortho-K as an intervention that seems effective in slowing progression.
So leading groups are on board. Now, Dr. Nacouzi showed some numbers, didn't he? Efficacy percentages from different studies over the years. I remember seeing things like 47%, 55%, 36%, even up to 63%. What do those mean practically?
Good question. Those percentages usually represent the average reduction in how much the eye grows in length. That's axial length elongation, the main driver of myopia. Or how much the prescription changes over a set period like 1 or 2 years.
Compared to what?
Compared to a control group, usually kids wearing standard single-vision glasses or contacts that don't have a myopia control element. So the study shows a 50% efficacy.
Yeah.
It means the kids using Ortho-K, on average, had about half the amount of axial elongation or prescription increase compared to the kids in the control group over that study period.
Okay, so slowing it down by about half on average.
Roughly, yes. Dr. Nacouzi highlighted that the general finding across many studies points towards Ortho-K slowing axial elongation by approximately 50% compared to controls. But, and this is crucial, he stressed it's an average.
Right, not a guarantee for every single person. Individual results will vary.
Precisely. Which leads perfectly into the next thing Dr. Nacouzi discussed. The factors that actually predict how well Ortho-K will work for an individual, the outcomes predictors.
This is where it gets complicated, I bet. It's not just plug and play. What were some of these factors? He mentioned myopic defocus dosage.
Yeah, myopic defocus dosage or power shift. It's about how the lens changes the way light focuses, not just in the center of vision, but also in the periphery. The idea is that creating a specific pattern of peripheral blur, or myopic defocus, sends a signal to the eye to slow down its growth. The dosage is about getting that signal strength just right.
Okay, that makes sense. Then there was RCRPC, regional summed corneal refractive power changes. Sounds very technical.
It is a bit technical. It's basically a more detailed map of how the corneal power changes across different zones after the Ortho-K treatment. It's not just about the central flattening. It's the whole profile of the change. Different profiles might work better for myopia control.
So the exact shape of the reshaping matter.
Exactly. Then there's the OZD orthokeratology optic zone diameter. The size of that central treated zone. Dr. Nacouzi linked some percentages to this, like 77% and 70%.
Suggesting it's a pretty important factor.
Seems so. Research suggests the size of that optic zone influences the myopia control effect. Those percentages likely reflect how strongly that link showed up in certain studies.
Interesting. He also listed spherical aberration, SA. We sometimes hear about aberrations affecting vision quality.
Right. Ortho-K changes the optics of the cornea, and that can induce spherical aberration. It's where light rays hitting different parts of the cornea don't focus perfectly. Some level might actually help with myopia control, according to some theories, but too much can mess with vision clarity. It's a balancing act.
Okay. And the last one was compression factor, with a high association, 88%.
Yeah, that likely relates to the physical interaction, how much force or pressure the lens exerts on the cornea to achieve the reshaping. Getting that compression just right is obviously key for the lens to work effectively and stay centered overnight. The high percentage suggests it's strongly tied to successful outcomes.
So, listing all those factors, myopic defocus, RCRPC, OZD, SA, compression factor, it really drives home Dr. Nacouzi's analogy, doesn't it?
The hike up Everest one.
Yeah. Looks like a walk in the park. Turns out it's a hike up Everest. It really highlights the complexity. It's not simple.
Definitely not. And it makes you think about his question regarding first fit success rates. Is expecting 95% success on the very first lens realistic? Probably not, given all these variables.
It emphasizes the need for real expertise, careful measurement, and probably some tweaking along the way for many patients.
Absolutely. It's highly personalized, which is why his advice for practitioners made sense. Start early, work closely with others' colleagues, lab consultants, and keep learning at conferences and workshops.
Stay on top of the latest developments.
For sure. And he mentioned that FDA requirement in the U.S., too, needing specific certification for each lens design. That underlines how specialized this field is.
Okay, one more crucial aspect Dr. Nacouzi covered. The rebound effect. What exactly is that? Sounds a bit worrying.
Yeah, it's something people definitely need to be aware of. The rebound effect is the idea that after you stop wearing Ortho-K lenses, myopia progression might actually speed up for a while, potentially faster than if you'd never used Ortho-K.
Oh, right. So it could bounce back faster?
Potentially. He cited a review that basically said rebound should be assumed until proven otherwise. So it's a real consideration.
Which naturally brings up his next question. When should we stop myopia management using Ortho-K? Because you don't wear them forever, right?
Right. It's not usually a lifelong thing. Deciding when to stop is tricky. Dr. Nacouzi pointed to some research estimating the potential size of that rebound.
What kind of numbers are we talking?
The range mentioned was around plus 0.03 to plus 0.14 millimeters of extra axial length change after stopping. It might sound tiny, but in terms of eye growth, it's potentially significant.
So the decision to stop needs careful thought.
Absolutely. It has to be personalized considering the patient's age, how stable their prescription has been, their lifestyle, and it must be done working closely with your eye care professional. There's no single answer.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into Dr. Nacouzi's lecture, it's clear Ortho-K isn't like those tea bags or eye plungers anymore.
Definitely not. It's evolved into a really sophisticated technology, and it's recognized as a legitimate tool for slowing myopia progression in many people.
Plus, you get that bonus of clear vision during the day without glasses or contacts.
That's a big draw for many. But, as Dr. Nacouzi really made clear, fitting it successfully and managing it long-term, well, it involves juggling all those complex factors we talked about.
Yeah, Everest hike.
Exactly. And remembering that potential rebound effect when considering stopping treatment. It's not just set it and forget it.
That analogy really does stick. It captures the complexity behind this seemingly simple idea.
It does.
So, thinking about those huge myopia numbers coming down the track and the intricacies of treatments like Ortho-K that Dr. Nacouzi laid out, it really poses a question for the future, doesn't it? What role is proactive eye health going to play?
A massive one, presumably.
And maybe for you listening, what new questions do you have now about getting vision care that's truly personalized to you or your child's needs? Definitely food for thought and maybe worth looking into the research Dr. Nacouzi mentioned or, having a chat with your optometrist.